played with the wrong heart, and now begins to feel the emptiness left behind. You were real, in a world that learned to live with lies, with masks, with emotional manipulation disguised as interest, with empty presence disguised as affection. But you felt. You perceived what no one said aloud. You weren't impressed by well-rehearsed words, because your soul had already learned to listen to the silence of actions. And even so, even seeing the signs, you insisted. You insisted because you believed that love could still change someone. You insisted because something inside you screamed, "If I give my all, maybe that will awaken the truth in the other." But the other was too busy trying to win the game. Ego games, power games, games where winning meant making the other feel smaller, dependent, insecure. Games where love was just a strategy to maintain control, while you just wanted to be seen. And you were, but not as you expected. You were seen as someone easy to manipulate, as someone who gives too much, as someone who doesn't leave, even when hurting. The problem is that the heart that is real also knows how to shut the door definitively, silently, eternally, because there comes a point where even the most intense feelings become exhausted, not due to a lack of love, but from an excess of clarity. You realized that you didn't need to beg for reciprocity. You realized that love that demands one-sided effort is not love. It's prison, it's diversion, it's emotional blindness. And then you grew tired. You distanced yourself without making a fuss, not because you wanted revenge, but because you understood that silence heals more than any explanation. And now those who played with your heart are beginning to realize the damage they caused. You know that false sense of power they had, that certainty that you would always be there. It crumbled. It crumbled the moment you stopped responding, the moment your tears dried, the moment your gaze became too calm for someone who once begged for attention. Now what was once security turned into absence. What was once a guarantee turned into doubt. What was once control turned into emptiness. And here begins the cruelest part, the realization of what has been lost. The person starts to realize they didn't just lose anyone. They lost someone they truly loved, someone who offered an open heart, without masks, without games. Someone who was willing to build something real, in a time when everything is disposable. But what do you do with a wounded heart that has healed far away? Nothing. Because healing changes the vibration. It changes the energetic address of the soul. And you now no longer live in the same emotional place where you once begged for scraps. You have ascended. And those who laughed at your pain, who mocked your devotion, who found humor in your feelings, begin to feel the absence like a mirror. And the mirror doesn't lie. The mirror shows who was genuine and who was cowardly. Do you feel that? That peace mixed with relief but still with a twinge of sadness? It's the mourning of someone who gave everything, but understood that giving your all is not the same as letting yourself be broken. You didn't leave out of anger. You left out of clarity, because you realized that by staying there, you would be slowly killing the purest part of yourself, your ability to love without fear. And now, on the other side, the truth starts to sink in, silently, like all the truths that hurt. Unavoidable, like the consequence of poor choices. Painful, like every echo of love that wasn't valued in time. The person remembers your laughter, remembers how you cared about the details, remembers how you noticed everything, even when you said nothing. Remembers the times you were there, even when you didn't deserve to be. And they realize they lost someone rare, someone who didn't lie, who didn't need to manipulate to feel loved, someone who just wanted the essentials, presence, honesty, and reciprocity. But now it's too late. You've turned into silence. You've become absence. You've become healing. And your healing is what hurts the most for those who hurt you. Because now there's no way to undo what was done. There are no sweet words left to make up for empty gestures. There are no promises that can bring the heart back to the same place it was already broken. You no longer fit there, and those who didn't see you while you were here now realize how painful it is to no longer have you. And you feel it too. Don't be fooled. You miss someone, but not the other person. You miss yourself, the version of you that believed it was still possible to bloom here. But now you bloom alone. You reconnect with your wholeness, and for the first time in a long time, you feel free. Free from the burden of always being the one trying to save. Free from the weight of carrying love on your shoulders, while the other played hide and seek. And this freedom is your revenge without violence. It's your justice without needing a stage. It's your ending without needing applause. Have you ever been through this? Tell me in the comments. Sometimes the pain of facing the truth is the only way for the soul to finally awaken. And when it does, there's no going back. You are now in a different time. In a place where your peace is no longer negotiable. In a space where your love is no longer a commodity. And if there's still any doubt within you, remember one thing: those who couldn't take care of your vulnerability will spend years trying to forget the feeling of having lost something so pure, and they won't succeed, because you were a refuge, you were grounding, you were everything that no one offers anymore these days. And now you are absence, and the absence of someone whole teaches more than 1,000 beautiful phrases. And hold this certainty within you: those who play with the wrong heart don't just lose one person, they lose an entire universe. A universe that for a moment I had chosen to truly love. But now it's over. It has become healing. It has become a new path. And through all of this, what remains is the realization that your soul wasn't wrong. It was just in the wrong place, trying to plant love in barren soil. But now, you've found fertile ground within yourself. And no one else has access to that except for those who recognize your worth before it's too late. And it's at this point, at this very moment when your absence becomes a mirror, that the truth becomes unbearable for those who once mocked your pain. Because the mirror doesn't shout, the mirror doesn't accuse, the mirror only reflects, brutally, without filters, without mercy. And when that person, the one who once played with you, and sees themselves reflected in your absence, they don't just see what they lost, they see what was never there. Because for the first time, there are no distractions. There's no drama. There are no pleas. You're not there trying to balance the scale of a love that only swung one way. Now there is only silence. And that silence is deafening. That silence makes everything you said in a low voice resonate louder than any scream. It's when the person realizes that you weren't an exaggeration. You weren't too much. You weren't intense out of neediness. You were whole. And you just wanted someone else to be too, but they weren't. Because to be whole, it takes courage. It takes shedding the ego. It takes letting go of the games and allowing yourself to be truly touched. Yet those still numbed by the illusion of control can't see the value of someone who already loves consciously. They see it now. They see it because they are alone. They see it because no one else looks with the eyes you looked through. No one else listens with the soul you listened with. No one else gives what you gave, and without second intentions. And then their world loses color, because everything becomes superficial again, shallow, ephemeral, and no matter how hard they try to repeat the same patterns with other people, nothing fits, because what you offered wasn't a shape. It was a frequency. And that frequency either was unique. Maybe you still wonder, does this person really miss me, or do they miss what I provided? It could be both. But that doesn't matter anymore, because you're no longer available. You're no longer emotionally accessible. You're no longer willing to interpret signals that were never clear. Now it's you who protects yourself. It's you who decides whom to engage with. It's you who observes before diving in. Because pain taught you to perceive quickly, to recognize where there is reciprocity and where there's only need disguised as interest, to see who wants your presence and who just wants distraction. You're not the same anymore. And even though a part of you still holds remnants of that affection, you no longer feel the urge to go back, because your love now demands emotional maturity, not just words, not just pretty gestures, but truth, real presence, conscious giving. And those who don't understand this, stay. They remain where they are, trapped in their own cycles, while you move on. You move on lighter, more clear-headed, more whole. This isn't about revenge, it never was. It's about respect. Respect for everything you felt, and especially for everything you've become after that. Because every time you chose not to respond, it was an act of self-love. Every time you decided not to return, it was a silent scream saying, I chose myself. And those who played with you, they notice this. They see it when they reach out and can't find you the same way anymore. They notice when they speak, and you don't melt. They see when they try to repeat their games, and you no longer engage. You are now sacred territory, and not just anyone can step in, because your energy has changed, your gaze has changed. Your silence now carries weight. It has a soul. It has truth. Have you heard this phrase before? Comment, I have indeed. And with each passing day, another cycle comes to a close. Another piece of pain dissolves. Another version of you integrates. Without needing to prove anything more, you are not trying to forget. You are remembering who you always were before being hurt. And that is freedom. Because when healing comes, it doesn't come with noise, it comes with awareness, with a peace that no longer depends on anyone. And that is what disturbs. It disturbs those who fed off your emotional imbalance. It disturbs those who only felt alone when they saw you small. It disturbs those who needed you to be in pieces, so they wouldn't feel so shattered inside. But now there is no more game. Now you don't explain yourself, you just move forward, with silence, with dignity, with perception. Do you realize how much you have evolved? Do you see that even longing has changed form? It now doesn't hurt. It simply reminds you that you have truly loved, and that is rare. Too rare to be given where there is no maturity. Too rare to be confused with neediness. Too rare to be wasted by those still learning to deal with their own loneliness. And if today someone weeps for your absence, it's because deep down they know you were the only presence that was never a facade. And then comes the moment many don't anticipate, the attempt to return, because those who played with the wrong heart one day realize. They realize that that mistake was, in fact, an irreversible loss. And they try to come back with charm, with sweet talk, with that false humility that only appears when pain becomes a mirror. But you no longer feel the same. Not because love has ended, but because it has evolved. Evolving love stops accepting crumbs, stops being satisfied with symbolic gestures, stops being deceived by words, because now you need soul, real presence, emotional maturity, and those still caught in games that can no longer reach what you have become. It is at this point that you understand that the love you felt no longer needs to be lived with that person. It remains alive, yes, but now channeled into you, in your new worldview, in your way of loving with awareness, in your refined perception of what deserves to continue or not. You've learned to live without it, and that hurts those who always thought you depended on them, because your healing took away the other person's power to hurt you. And there is no greater punishment for someone who toyed with your feelings than to realize that now you won't return, even if they beg. You won't return because there's no longer any resonance. You've changed your frequency. You've changed your course. You've changed your internal space. And this new space, man, is sacred. Only those who honor it can enter. Only those who respect it can stay. Only those who have clean hands can touch it. And when that person tries to come back, even after everything, you don't seek revenge. You don't retaliate. You simply remain. You stay centered in your peace, in your dignity, because you've already understood. Not every reunion is healing. Some are just tests, and you have already passed that phase. Now you don't need to prove anything anymore. Not to yourself, not to others, not to the world, because you've already seen yourself, already recognized yourself, already found yourself, and what you've found within yourself that is worth more than any external promise, worth more than any attempt to return, worth more than any last-minute excuse. Those who toyed with you today see their own immaturity. They realize they haven't just lost a love. They've lost a mirror. They've lost the chance to recognize themselves through someone's truth. They've lost the opportunity to grow alongside someone who just wanted to build. But time doesn't return, and you don't stop. Now your path is different, and on it only those who have truth in their gaze can walk, those who don't fear depth, those who prefer to lose games rather than lose the chance to live something real. You are now selective presence, conscious affection, whole love. Do you feel that? Do you? That sensation of having overcome something you thought would break you forever, it's your soul telling you it was necessary, it hurt, but it made you stronger. And now, if someone wants to be by your side, they will need the courage to stay. They will need the courage to be transparent. You'll need to have the courage to love without a strategy, because you no longer love out of fear of losing. You love for the joy of sharing, and if it's not like that, it's not worth it. You no longer accept relationships that belittle you. You no longer romanticize loves that confuse you. You no longer envision a future where there's a lack of clarity in the present. You know your worth. And most importantly, you know what you no longer want to experience. You've lived enough to understand, when someone needs to lose you to realize who you are, that person has never truly seen you. And those who haven't seen you don't deserve to have you back. If this text resonated with you, comment below, "I needed to hear this." Also write, what hurt the most and what healed you the most. I really want to read your story. I want to feel your journey. I want to hear you with my heart. And if you feel that this content helped you realize something, if at any point during this reading you felt your heart race, your body tingle, or a silent knot unraveling inside, leave a like. It's not just a button. It's your way of saying, "I'm here, I felt this, I lived this." And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now. This space is not just about words. It's about truths that no one talks about. It's about silent healing. It's about real love, real commitment, real overcoming. It's about you. And if you've made it this far, it's because your soul was craving this. So, answer in the comments. What did you realize about yourself after all of this? Let your heart speak. There are many people here reading and healing alongside you, because this text doesn't end here. This conversation is going even deeper, and in the next video, I'm going to show you something that no one has the courage to admit. The emptiness left behind is never just from your absence. It's from the absence of the truth itself. I'll see you there. Share this with someone who needs this perspective. Comment, like, and stay. Because now the journey is different, and you will never be the same again.